the car, because honestly speaking, I have no time to sit down with a tea next to the computer, make a quality-based video. But anyways, uh, talking about the channeling. So one time, that was like 3 years ago, there was this information about from the channeling about the duality and how the whole life is made, this reality, how it's made. And I was so amazed by that information. It really changed the way I think, and many other things. Put a little bit larger perspective on all that is here right now. What are we experiencing? And since then, I didn't actually do pretty much channelings. I didn't do them that much, and I was involved in building and working to maybe get more steps closer to the actual Art of Peace village, like meditative village. So I'm still in the process of working hard to achieve that goal. And we have already bought a land and built a workshop. So now we need, maybe this summer we need to work on the actual environment and maybe build some place where can we do these meditations and spiritual practices. To me, it's called, I think for me, it's called a place where the spiritual remembrance, like remembering the spiritual us or the spiritual beingness, can be expressed or experienced. Like remember the self, like which involves like chi practices, meditation practices, and stuff like that. So, anyways, not about that. So for me, I spent maybe 2 days, like 2 days ago, I spent time to watch one of the channeling videos. And I do this really rare, maybe once a year I watch a channeling video, my own channeling videos with Enrico. And I was like, well, let's just see with my now construction logical programming mind how I see the channelings right now, because from these constructions and buildings and working, the mind got really logical. And I was watching the video, and I remember 2 years ago I did the very same thing. And just after 10 minutes of listening to Enrico, I become so joyful, so excited, so I was even laughing at a point while listening to basically nothing. Like nothing, like a couple of sentences, and there was nothing actually said, but I was so joyful and excited at that moment. It was like, man, life is so beautiful again. And I was like, will this happen again? Like 2 years later? Let's see. And I listened maybe half an hour of that video, and to just interpret the speech with Enrico, with the person who was asking, like a human who was asking. It was something like, Enrico is like, oh, hello and good day to everybody here, who you are in this very interesting place and interesting time. And the girl in the audience is, actually I don't remember who was there in the audience, but she's like, hello. He's like, yeah, hello. And she's like, what will happen in the future? And they're like, what will happen in the future? What do you wish? And she's like, well, I don't know what I wish. And then they started to speak about, well, we sense a little bit fear, a little bit doubt, a little bit strangeness in this question. And in a sense, what do you need to ask? What will happen in the future? And first of all, it already triggers, speaks something like this. It instantly triggers to us thinking that you are not fully aware of yourself, because if you are enjoying constantly the exciting moment that's happening right now, not even paying attention to what will happen sometime afterwards, because in this moment you're already full with joy and happiness and exploding just in joy about this current happening moment. And when I started to listen to this, I was like, what? What is that answer? Normally, I would accept the answer to be, okay, I'm the being from the absolute somewhere in the cosmos, looking at you humans as silly beings, and I will look now in the book of future and tell you what will happen in the future. And he's like, what? Why are you even asking this question? There's something wrong with you or something? And he started speaking that basically whenever you are asking this question, it means that you are triggered by the more or less fearful or doubtingness in yourself, trying to escape or go to a positive outcome, which means lack of self-awareness or self-excitement. However I would want to interpret it, it will be difficult. But there are a couple of things we want to tell you prior to that. And then they start speaking so fast with so many words a second. To me, it seemed like he's like laser pointing to all those thoughts and just throwing some kind of laughter explosives to all those thoughts, and they just are destroyed one by one by one. And it happened like speaking like and like every doubts are cleared. And while I was listening to it, I was like laughing. I was like, my logical mind and first things that how can you even speak so many and so fast words non-stop for an hour? And how can you speak that fluent for an hour non-stop in such fast speech? It's like, to me, it's like this is something unheard of, because when we speak human to human, we have like this speech, and we tend to speak in, let's say, a balanced way. Well, for example, I speak a little bit slower. Maybe women speak a little bit faster, but it's pretty in the middle range. Everything is somewhere in the middle. But that speech was above high. It was so fast, even faster than the South Park movie. And I was like, okay. And basically those texts were going in a way around, but always when the texts were going around, repeating the same sentence in a different way, and like amplifying the same thought. And I was like listening to this, I was like, okay. And what they said more was that, well, basically all of your surrounding environments, informational fields, have these fears and doubts circulating around. Sorry, I'm watching how the houses are built here. Television puts out some news about wars, about debt, about uncertainty about the future, some evilness, and like experts' predictions of the future. And there's like the whole environment is full of noise. And people tend to listen to that noise and accept it as part of that noise which was heard somewhere else. As he said, you have to realize that whatever, in simple words, whatever energy you hold within, you walk that energy. That energy guides you to the energy frequency of that thought. Like sadness will eventually lead you sadder experiences, joy will lead you a joyful experience, and depression and fearful thoughts will lead you to more depression, and stuff like that. You have to just realize that it's even not in the sense of question what will happen tomorrow. It's the same of self frequency of your beingness that will guide you to a future which is most relevant to you. And he said there can be wars outside in your very own street, but since you are not even paying attention to it or not even thinking about it, you're living in a constantly different reality and different world no matter what happens outside. So so it's like if you realize this and if you know this, there is no more questions about what will happen tomorrow. So the question is, why am I self-disconnected or lacking self-awareness? And then again, like something I don't even remember what they told, but after 15 minutes I was laughing and I was like putting myself to a conclusion. After that, duality theory or how the universe is made, everything is in balance, everything is dual. I came to a understanding that there is even no point of you even trying to explain something, because as soon as you explain something, after a while that thing will not make any sense anymore. Different things will be for you to explain. Like you discover something, and then after a week or so, yet new things need to be discovered, and you are there's no point of what was and what will be. Is just a happening, a pointless happening, or changes that occur within this universe and reality itself. So there's actually no point even thinking about something. Everything will change after a while. So just chill, don't worry, be happy. And but this Enrico channeling put me out. Okay, there's no point of listening what he's telling with the understanding of duality, but there is something different in his speech that is more valuable. And what really caught me, now this is the purpose of this channeling for me and for maybe other beings that channel. They put they ask you and talk to you that your soul or yourself becomes a little bit more aware. They're not talking to you as a person, as a mind concept, as a brain concept. Yes, I understand your question, we will try to answer your question. And they're like, what is the resonance with you? Can you even ask yourself right now, the part of you, why does he have fear, and what is he fearing about? Since all this universe and this experience is energy guiding towards the experience you resonate with. So and he triggers this soul, this self, constantly, and it's like soul triggering was there. And I was like, wow, this was amazing. Actually, this was one of the most amazing comments I have heard for a while. I was like, I really laughed. And then there were these questions about alien races and something else. Those topics got a little bit boring, but those conversations between the Enrico were really, really, I know, when I'm driving and speaking, these jaws happen all the time. But listening to him was really exciting. It was just lighted a candle with me, and I was that evening I was laughing. I was like, how can you even answer those questions in such really different perspective that normally a human would not even think about? And that is different. Stay away from. I don't know why I use this word right now, but a person is a juridical law of concept. Actually, we all are humans and people with human rights, with humans. We are humans, self-alone standing humans. A person is something that you have contributed to follow the law that the government institutions are given to you. So you are a human, stand-alone, free will human, and it follows some kind of a different, like, you are a human. And from Enrico, what I understand, human is a body soul is made up, you're not human anymore. And if you don't have a body, you're not human anymore. And if you don't have a mind, you're not human anymore. So maybe a person is, and when they ask who goes to war, and he replied, well, humans don't go to wars. Those are human lack of humanity, some kind of beings with disconnection from the higher. Anyways, there are some people here. What I see, you can write some questions. I'll be here 5 minutes more, and I can answer some questions. And actually, I don't have any topics right now to discuss, so you can just see me how I'm driving, or maybe I can turn the camera in the opposite direction so you can see where am I driving. Yeah, but the cover is in front of the camera, the holder. Actually, I'm driving right now next to the one house that we built there, and I see the house from this side. And they put a really nice house to the big river, like a garden house with fully openable windows in the front. So they have a really nice view there. Nice to see. Anyway, okay. I don't see any questions. I'll wait for 1 minute or so. Okay, I can talk about war a little bit. We did channel some questions about war like a couple of days ago, and our topic was the Ukrainian war, but it's not as intense. I mean, we just have no other topics to talk about. Like everything else to me seems, it's like you need to channel about something that you are interested in. And we're like, okay, there are interesting things about the technologies. We actually wanted to channel about technologies. And Father asked, how is this AI that helps to develop military activity strategies? How does it work? You know, how can you predict and use AI to develop military strategies? And the beings replied that you don't actually predict activity using AI. You predict the capability. And it was strange that these words came to me in English, and although I was speaking in Latvian, you don't predict you predict the capability, which in English sounds really nice, but in Latvian you need to think, how can you interpret like this? And I don't know the word in Latvian to interpret this information. So what it means is capability is something as, right? What can you do? An activity is something, what will you do? So all activity is basically limited by capability. And therefore, being capable of something will lead you to do actually something. So what are the capabilities of the military warfield? So, and there were logistics that the opposite sides, the opposing sides, like two ideologies fighting with each other about nothing less than ideology and resources, still they have some resources on the battlefield, which is basically human resource, technical resource, and supporting resource and logistical resource. Anyway, these are resources. So a human basically maybe is capable of walking, let's say, 5 to 10 kilometers a day. This is my own perspective right now to tell you this. The channeling info was pretty simple. A tank or a jeep maybe is capable of driving, let's say 30 to 50 kilometers a day. Let's say some 15 to 30 miles. So these are the capabilities. So now that you approximately know what kind of equipment is there on both sides, you can input these equipments and their logistical areas where they are stored, and ammunition depots where they are stored. You have like a logistical resource map. And now all that the AI does is it calculates a probable capability outcome. For example, if you plan to attack or move south or west, what are the chances the enemy, and with what resources the enemy can respond to those areas? And what is for us the most capable next move with, let's say, a higher outcome ratio, success ratio? So this is like the AI strategy planning systems. So they give you recommendations and suggestions where you need to and can go. Yeah, so that was interesting to me, like a simplified version. Although after the channeling father told the joke, there was one interview with some kind of Ukrainian military guy, and the journalist asked him, how are you and how are you using the AI systems that were talked about in news somewhere? I don't know. Actually, I never heard anything about the news that they speak about how the AI works. So that's why the journalist asked him how the AI works. And the military personnel responds, "Oh, you're talking about the same AI who predicted that Ukraine will fall within 3 days of Russian invasion?" And the journalist was like, "Ah." And that was an answer to all. Like, those systems are inaccurate. But it's not that the systems are inaccurate. It's that life is unpredictable. And that's the very nature of life. Basically, you can classify life to be random and unpredictable. That's what it is. So the AI systems they don't put you like a prediction, you will succeed if you do this. They put you a higher chance or probability score success ratio where you can move and go, which will maybe change the outcome a little bit better for your side. So basically, they give you like a capability map, which areas are most unprotected, which areas are most protected, and how stable or satisfying or strong are your positions, or how are you capable. So it just gives you a quick summary of everything. But the next thing was really interesting. They started to talk about new systems, about spying systems. They told that there is a Pentagon. We all know where the Pentagon is and how it looks like. But there is like a three-story, like they call it in my mind, it's like the size of 3 large shopping center floors, be like 3,000 plus square meters, full with computers and large screens with military personnel that are working on new warfare technologies, which basically is spying. And this to me was a really interesting point of view, new warfare spying technologies. And what they do is they are tracking everything with satellites from the sky. Drones, satellites, spying equipment, everything. So what I understood, there is tremendous amounts of satellites that are being monitored. And understand there are how this works is there are people observing this military convoys and equipment being transported from base to base to front lines. And what these spying equipments can do is they can follow this tank, or the technology itself puts you out. Here are tanks, here are tanks, here are tanks, and definitely if a tank or this convoy goes to this structure and then to that structure, it's a logistical center. So these AI spying systems are monitoring constant military equipment, transportation, logistics, and movements. And they were so advanced that they can easily track a single equipment. If something with a hand is driven on the top of the tank, for example, like a Z or W letter or something, like like they have, it can track the very same tank throughout the entire battlefield. What happens is there are some image recognition AI systems, that can zoom an image so closely that can tell what kind of a tank it is, what kind of equipment is on the tank, and is this the same tank as which is driving right here, right other places, and it can easily follow it. For example, there was an image, even if the tank goes into the forest, that's no problem. Sooner or later the tank will come out of the forest, and you can tell in which forest the tank is or how many tanks are in that forest. That's all you need to know. So, and the thing is, what about the new warfare, the information what was there is that these Pentagon personnels are trying to reduce the speed of the war, or not increasing it, so that they can study and learn this technology and increase the capability of this technology more and more and more. So they are creating like a surveillance drones and satellite systems with advanced AIs that monitor all enemy logistical maps and logistical put centers. So the information was also some pictures over there that the US already know all Russian Soviet military bases. They already know all of them. They could give the Ukraine the long-range missiles, but they are afraid to give them because if they blow up these logistical centers, they have no capability to study with this new warfare technology and create and educate personnel with this new technology. Because this technology is so advanced that you don't need any human resources on the ground. Well, maybe some, but not that much. All you need to know is targets and rockets that can fly there and take out those targets. So it's in a sense, really beneficial in a new type of warfare, let's say, gameplay. So what else I understood, there were those rockets that are given to Ukraine. Those are given for local or domestic purposes only, and most of them are only programmed by US, meaning that the rockets are programmed remotely with the given targets, meaning that they have these targets installed in those rockets, and they can do it from, I don't know, from satellite, from internet. And these rockets, the crew just needs to take those rockets to a certain area. They will shoot them up and go home. So part of those rockets doesn't even Ukraine has a control over them. So it's like, you defend your area, you defend your place, you do military equipment marketing, we sell guns, we sell weaponry, don't win too quickly, we will send more weapons, make the war look more aggressive, more dangerous, we will sell more defensive weapons. Just money coming and coming. Plus, even also, we are testing and learning and educating our personnel with new warfare technologies, like let's say space observation or satellite observation systems. So basically what's happening on the ground is last century. Even Russians are putting last century tanks on their field. So not even last century, last decade, last 100 years. No, yeah, century is a year. Decade, I guess, was 20 years. Anyways, so that was an interesting point of view. And all these channeling things, they give like a different perspective or different point of view, which like, interesting, yeah, that could be true, and that could be also be possible. By the way, it's winter and you can see outside green grass. No signs of the global warming, absolutely no signs. Rain, green grass, like a bad weather summer, like a cold summer. And the only difference is that most of the trees don't have leaves, so they're basically gray, but normally in summer they're green. Yeah, so anyways, no questions? Yeah, and in the last video I forgot to tell a couple of more things about the AI system. I just remembered. So even if, in fact, our reality here, what we are experiencing, is a really similar AI reduced reality as the AI systems are right now developing, that what it means is instantly the AI cannot create something out of nothing. He needs to have a seed to create something. You cannot imagine something. So as a humans, maybe with souls or with higher consciousness beings, we have this imagination. And thus also all things what we see in our life right now are prior imagined. Some earlier time before imagined. What it means is, for AI to create something, you need some kind of input data, and then in a time, soon later, he will create that image that you are or were perceiving. So what it means is, consciously, all our experience right now and here is created by our own imagination that we imagine from the higher realms. Okay, somebody's calling me, so I have to stop the video.